Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And after watching the video, if you like it, give me a thumbs up. Okay, so I woke up this morning and tomorrow I'm starting a new exercise regime. And I got on the scale. I'm like, oh, scale's a little high. So I cleaning up my eating. I'm also cleaning up my finances because I've been I don't think I've been overspending, but with the cost of things going up, I'm like, wow, I need to, re-examine my budget. So I'm going on a financial diet as well as a healthier eating kick. So part of my healthier eating thing is I woke up this morning and decided I'm making muffins. So I had a friend come visit on Friday and I made pumpkin muffins. And I still had half a can of pumpkin puree left. So I decided I'm gonna make another batch of pumpkin muffins. Now, just to be clear, I didn't eat, well, me and my friend didn't eat a dozen muffins in, that visit. What happens is I freeze the muffins and then I just pull them out and I'll have them for breakfast with a piece of fruit, some cheese, or maybe a side dish to an omelet, that sort of thing. So I have been fiddling around with this recipe that I found online because it actually uses pumpkin puree and all the ingredients I have. So I've been fiddling with it a bit. The original recipe, I'll post it down below so you can see it. I made it as is, and I don't know what happened, but the flour didn't incorporate. I followed all the directions, so but I like the taste of it. So I've been just tweaking things here and there. So in this tweak that I'll show you here is I swapped out the sugar for Splenda. So the recipe calls for white sugar and brown sugar. So instead I use white Splenda and brown Splenda. And I also cut back a bit on the flour. So I cut back like half a cup. The original recipe calls for 1 3/4 cups of flour. I cut back to 1 1/4 cups. And well, I'll show you here in the video. When I was making it, I realized, I need to tweak this. So at one point in the video, I'm spooning out the mixture, and then I realize I'm not liking how the mixture is spooning in, and I don't have enough for a dozen. I realize I've made some errors in my tweaking, and so I like scoop up all the batter, put it back in the bowl, do a little more tweaking, and so I come up with the final product. So I will show you my adventures in baking here. In the description down below, I will list the original recipe that I got from, what's it called? All Recipes. And I'll put a link to that so you can go to the original poster, because again, this is not my recipe. This is just one that I took and I'm tweaking. And I'll give you a list of the modifications that I've made as well. So if you want to make those modifications, you can too. And yeah, otherwise, let's get to it.
So here are all the ingredients that I'll be using. Baking powder, baking soda, vanilla extract, all-purpose flour, pumpkin pie spice mix, salt, there it is, there's the English, Splenda, regular Splenda, and brown sugar Splenda, butter, 2 eggs, those are large eggs, and the half can of pumpkin puree that I had left over from my last baking, and of course measuring cups, spoons, a bowl, and a mixing spoon. I turn on the oven and I preset it to 350 and let it warm up while I get going. So here I am. So the first thing I do is measure out the butter and melt it. I pull out the food scale because I wasn't too sure how much pumpkin I had left. The recipe calls for 15 ounces. I had about 14 ounces, so I was an ounce short, but it turned out to be okay. So there's a melted butter. I mix it in, as well as add in the vanilla, salt. I'm always showing the French side of the salt, but yeah, I always flip around too. Pumpkin pie spice mix. Now this is kind of funny. I was putting it in, measuring it. It calls for 2 tablespoons, and I'm like, no, I love this stuff more. Yeah. So I mix that all together. I like to mix the wet ingredients and then slowly mix in the other ingredients. Here I am. I'm just adding the 2 large eggs. Again, giving a mix. Adding in the baking powder and the baking soda. Actually, reverse that. I put in the baking soda, then the baking powder. Then I'm adding in the half cup of Splenda. My half cup measuring cup was missing, so I just used the quarter cup one and I put 2 in. And then I put in a quarter cup of brown sugar Splenda. And back to more mixing. Make sure that all gets melted and incorporated in. And then the flour. So the original recipe called for 1 3/4 cups of flour. But like I said during the intro, I found that that was too much flour and it didn't incorporate into the recipe when I originally tried it. And then I've been tweaking it ever since. So in this instance, I've had success with this recipe using 1 1/4 cups flour. But this one I decided, since there was an ounce less of pumpkin, I would go ahead and just try making it with 1 cup of flour. And well, as I was spooning it out, like I mixed it all together, and as I was spooning it out, I realized the consistency was a little off. It was a little too thick. And as I was scooping here, I'm filling up the cups, and I realized kind of towards the end here that yeah, I'm not gonna have enough for a dozen. So I mean, I could have baked less, but like I said, I just didn't like the consistency. So I tried scraping it down. I got as much out of the bowl as I could, but there was no way. It was like, I'm getting 10, maybe 10 and a half. And I just decided, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to scrap it. So I put everything back in the bowl, and I should have went with my first instinct and done the 1 1/4 cups of flour. So I added a quarter cup of water just to increase the moisture, and then added in the flour that I should have added in the first place, the quarter cup. So mix it all together. The batter was looking better. And yeah, so I just started the process again using the parchment papers and filling it all back up. And this time here, when I was spooning it in, it's still a little thick, but I don't like a runny batter for my muffins, and that's just my preference. I like a spoonable, a little thicker. I had to keep wetting my hands. I cut that part out of the video because the batter kept sticking to my fingers. But you can see here that the adjustment worked, and I do get a dozen muffins. So there it all is, all portioned out, ready to go. Give it a little jiggle jiggle, wet my hands again. I just like to flatten out the tops, and yeah, just to me, it makes it look a little nicer after it bakes. So that's it for that. So with the oven nice and warm, I go ahead and pop the muffins in. I'm trying to do this one hand while filming with the other, and I managed to do it. Bye, muffins. See you in a little bit. So I pulled the muffins out of the hot oven. As you can see there, I got blasted by steam when I first opened up the door. I pulled out some bamboo skewers and stuck them because I couldn't find my toothpicks. So these work. And they are good.
So here is my breakfast. Oops, get my writing materials out of the way. So, well, breakfast slash brunch. It's like 11, a little after 11. Anyways, I have a pear that I have sliced up. I have 1 ounce of Asiago cheese. And I have 1 muffin that I cut up into 4 because that's how I like to eat my muffin. And 1 cup of black coffee. So, the muffin came out pretty good. They're not big muffins, not like the ones you get, you know, from a professional bakery or anything. These are just small homemade muffins. But here's a cross section so you can see, you know, looks good. Looks all nice and airy. Hopefully that's focusing. And I'm gonna give it a go. It's moist. It's got a good amount of spice. Even though I use Splenda and I cut back on the amount, it definitely has a sweet titch to it, tint to it. Anyways, I might even cut back further on the sugar next time. But yeah, because especially with the artificial sweeteners. Sorry, I need a sip. Hold on. Oh, that's hot. With the artificial sweeteners, I find that there's a lingering sweetness. So the bite itself wasn't overly sweet, but that lingering sweetness, yeah, still a little much. So maybe next time I'll try cutting back a little bit on the white Splenda. See how that goes. I don't know, but overall they turned out well. Let me know down below what your favorite muffin is to make, and if you try out this recipe, whether you try out the original or you try my version. Yeah, let me know how it worked out for you. And that's about it. So until next time, I hope you guys stay happy and healthy, or if you're not happy and not healthy, you get happy and healthy over the next week. And I'll talk to you next Tuesday. All right, bye.